Fantasy football junkies, you are tuned in to the #1 source for fantasy prognostication. It's Testosterone Fantasy Sports with your hosts, Jeff and Jesse. So listen up. Here's your chance to gain the edge over the competition and dominate your fantasy football league. Every week we break down all of the matchups and tell you who to play as well as who should ride the pine. This is the joint that every fantasy junkie needs, so check it out!
Raise your palms to the sky and say hallelujah! It's Testosterone Fantasy Sports, week number 10. Jeff and Jesse, hunting season is upon us. Jeff, we're back in the house doing this thing we do.
It's Testosterone Fantasy Sports. Here it is, Saturday night. Already one game in the books for the week. And we're going to take a look at the matchups this week. But also, Jesse, it's the border battle, man.
Absolutely. Those of you that watch the show on a regular basis know we like to preempt all of our fantasy prognostication by talking about our favorite team. And Jeff has hit the nail on the head here at the top of the show. We've got to talk about the Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the Green Bay Packers. Because when I watch football this weekend, Jeff, there's nothing I want to see more than us kick the Packers square in the nuts in this contest.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, that would be nice. It's been 5 in a row that we've gone down to the hated Packers.
Childress has never beat the Packers.
This isn't like it's the Lions, you know.
Right.
This isn't even like it's the Bears.
Right.
This is the Packers.
Absolutely.
We can't be going down 6 in a row to the Packers. I don't want to go to work tomorrow and have to hear about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
We need a win. We need a win. That said, are we going to have all of our stars in play here? Tough to say right now.
It's tough to say. We are gonna delve more into this matchup, but I want to urge you all to stay tuned throughout the next hour. We've got an action-packed lineup, a list of things we're going to be going through, talking about all of the NFL games because we're looking down the gun barrel here for fantasy owners too, Jeff. In most leagues, there's 3 or 4 weeks left in a regular season, 5 at the most for fantasy owners, really between now and when the fantasy playoffs begin. So this is where the junkies need to be tuning into to find out what they need for that final push.
Yeah, wins are extremely valuable right now for your fantasy team. Hopefully you're positioning yourself in a good place to make a good fantasy football push for your playoffs. It's important that you get your lineup all ready for the fantasy playoffs, primarily weeks 14, 15, and 16 in the NFL season. So you're going to want to take a look at the guys who are going to do well then. Trade your players who you think that they might take a step back during those 3 weeks and really set yourself up for the prime part of that season. Unless you're going for your division title, seeding is a little less important, you know, as long as you've got the right matchups in place.
Right, exactly. So we're going to be getting into all of that, but before we do that, let's take a brief look back at the week that was. Last week, as our favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings, welcomed the red-hot Houston Texans into the Metrodome. Definitely a game we thought would have some fireworks, and we were not disappointed. The Vikings come away with 4 offensive touchdowns, which was a really nice thing to see, especially coming off of the bye and having played so well offensively before the bye against the Bears. This offense really seems to be clicking, and late in the game we saw a nice pass rush by our defense, Jeff. Both sides of the ball kind of coming together in a game the Vikings should have won.
Well, yeah, most definitely. I mean, we match up really well against the Texans. We kind of pretty much mix in the ball control offense with the strong defense. I was really pleased with the passing attack. Bernard Berrien, again, 100 yards and a touchdown. He's on fire right now.
Absolutely.
You want to go ahead and keep him active in your lineup for fantasy football purposes. But it's nice to see that connection. It loosens things up for the running game, which we saw Adrian getting off to the tune of $139 and a touchdown. And it seems like Visante Shenko has been able to settle into that number 2 type of target role rather than having to shoulder the burden of being the number 1 guy.
Right.
So it seems to be going very well. And Farad has been impressive, 244 through the air on average. So I'm pleased to see what our passing game has done.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been nice. It's been refreshing after looking very disheveled early in the season. I remember back to that very first game, the Week 1 game against the same Packers who were squaring off against this week. really no passing game to speak of. We got the ball late in that contest. Tavares Jackson had a chance with the ball in his hands late in the game to make a couple plays and possibly turn that thing our direction. Wasn't able to get it done. But really, Jeff, you start to look at this team on an offensive level with, as you mentioned, Berrien starting to click right now. Sidney Rice caught a touchdown pass last week. He's finally looking healthy. The offense has a hell of a lot more swagger with Gus Frerotte at the helm.
Yeah, it sure does look good, and our defense has been fantastic. Aside from the loss of E.J. Henderson, that's still a pretty big thing. There's lingering issues with the Williams boys right now. The fact that there's been really no information about a suspension, right. There's been no need to appeal yet, so it seems like for all intents and purposes, those two guys will be active,
right.
Which is like the key to victory, in my opinion, for our game there. And then aside from that, kind of a rough injury from Jared Allen. I think it may have happened on the same play that Matt Schaub got hurt on, a grade 3 sprain to his shoulder. So he's definitely going to be a game-time decision as to whether or not he plays. We need him to.
Yeah, we definitely need Jared Allen in the lineup. I mean, this guy gets his auger on late in the games and flashes it up for the people at home. I think he really gets it. He understands his place here in the lexicon of Minnesota sports. He's our guy. We love him. We're hitching our wagons to him. Seeing him throw down Sage Rosenfels one-handed late in the game, oh man, I got off my couch for that. So as you mentioned here in this contest,
you must have been really impressed, bro, because I know you don't get off your couch for
no, I was reclined back all like this. I said, "What's up, Jared Allen?" Yeah. So yeah, he got me off my couch, man, and that's definitely saying something. But this week, I think you touched on it here, Jeff. It looks like our D-line is going to be intact in the middle if Allen plays, and I think he's just that kind of a guy, man. I think he's a guy who understands you got to play through pain in the NFL. I expect him to be in the lineup, especially when you consider that if we're able to beat the Packers here and the Bears would happen to lose to the previously undefeated Titans this week, we'd be tied again for first place in our division, which is saying quite a lot. We looked dead a couple weeks back.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic. And you know, to me, it's very important that Jared Allen plays. You know, when his presence is out there and he's doing his thing, it makes things so much easier for the secondary. Now, we've got Greg Jennings coming into our house. He's the number 2 leading receiver in the NFL. Yardage-wise, he puts up 95 yards a game. He scores every other game.
Right.
He didn't get in last week.
Right.
We need Jared Allen to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers and do what he hasn't been able to do against Chad Clifton, Green Bay's left tackle, so far. And I think that if we can get that kind of thing going, we can really neutralize what they're going to do. But this is a Packer team that doesn't necessarily win on the ground. You know, they go through the air because Ryan Grant hasn't done very much compared to what we thought he would so far this year.
Right, and let's not forget back last year, the really ugly game late in the season where Adrian got hurt down in Green Bay. Ryan Grant ran roughshod over our defense in that contest, well over 100 yards, I believe, a pair of scores. So he has had some success here, but was held in check in the first meeting. I think we're going to be able to hold Ryan Grant in check here, Jeff. I mean, it's risky for me on the pick'em because every time I pick for the Vikes, they lose. So I've just started picking against them every week and sacrificing a possible win in my own column. But I got to pick the Vikings here at home, man. I think they have a chance to win it. The offense is clicking, and Adrian seems to really be getting on track now. Now that there's a viable passing game, we're seeing it open up the running game. Adrian made a long play last week, almost housed it for a touchdown. And then late in the game, he was just picking up yards, chunk after chunk after chunk. And then, I mean, one play action fake, and Shanka was wide open.
Yeah, right. And that really works well for us. The play action can really be a big thing for our team, and I hope they utilize it well. The Packers, as far as they're concerned, cut Kabir Bajabiamila to bring back in Justin Hurrell. Hurrell seems to be more of an interior defensive lineman, so I'm hoping like crazy that they miss that edge rush. We'll be interested to see kind of what they do defensively to stop Adrian and also to keep our wide receivers in check. We're a much better team than we were in week 1.
Absolutely.
And Jesse, I got to say, man, don't ever utter anything about Adrian's injury on this set again.
I'm just reminding people.
Let's not do that. How about?
That, you know, I mean, this, like you mentioned, Jeff, the last 5 games in a row that we've played these two teams, Brad Childress has never beaten the Packers. And we've talked a lot about it on our set here, saying, you know, what does Brad Childress have to do to save his job for the season? Is it a playoff berth? Is it a playoff win? You know, does he have to take this team deep into the playoffs? Well, the first thing he's got to do is beat the damn Packers. And we have to be able to beat them at home here. We can't lose for a third consecutive year to the Packers at home. And although the Packers are potentially the type of team that could come in and give us real fits, I think this is a team that we should be able to beat in our own house. We've got talent at all these positions.
Yep.
We didn't see a big play last week from Winfield, and he makes a big play every other week. So
well,
maybe
he did open the gift that Matt Schaub tossed his way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that was a pretty good play. Although a blind man could have made that play.
Right.
No, but I think that what you're touching on is an important concept here, and that's it's a pride thing for us. This is the border battle. This should be the biggest game of the Vikings season. We're 4-4 right now. This game is the defining moment of our season.
Absolutely.
Right here, right now, against the Packers, in this game, it's a must-win for us. You can't make a mistake about that. It's got to happen. And if we want to have a successful season, we have to be able to compete here. You take a page from Lovie Smith's book. He started by saying, we're going to beat our #1 rival. We're going to beat the Packers. He got that fire going inside of his players, that team cohesion and that pride going.
Right.
And they've been able to build on that, build more on that. And, hey, they're shooting for the division title here right now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I'm definitely buying what you're peddling right now, and I think it'd be a good idea to hoist the horn as we go out of this segment. We're gonna blow the horn. After we blow the horn, which will hopefully beckon a victory for the Purple against the Packers, we will be back to begin breaking down all of the fantasy football matchups. But right here, right now, we've got to hoist the horn high and say Skol Vikings. Skol Vikings! Yes, Skol Vikings all the way. Take the Packers down, and we'll be back right after this. Want to win,
you must tune in
to Testosterone Fantasy Sports.